Ana María.
Fuoco que ilumina y riscalda. Veo tus ojos, Jesús sonriente. Llamas a un nuevo continente.
Livres de amarras, leve bagagem, cheios de ternura, somos esse fogo que adia. Tempo de reavivar o fogo, é tempo de reavivar, é tempo de reavivar o fogo. It's time for us to revive the fire. It's time for us to revive. It's time for us to revive the fire. Fuego.
Des humbles origines.
Fuego.
Des courageuses jeunes missionnaires.
Fuego.
Du révolutionnaire de Don Bosco.
Fuego. Es tiempo de reavivar el fuego. Es tiempo de reavivar. Es tiempo de reavivar el fuego. Es tiempo de reavivar el fuego. Es tiempo de reavivar. Es tiempo de reavivar el fuego.
Oltre oceani e confini, i sogni diventano realtà, sogni di vita, sogni del regno, fuoco que ilumina y riscalda. Veo tus ojos, Jesús sonriente, llamas a un nuevo continente.
Livres de amarras, leve bagagem, cheios de ternura, somos esse fogo que adia. Tempo de reavivar o fogo, é tempo de reavivar, é tempo de reavivar o fogo. It's time for us to revive the fire. It's time for us to revive. It's time for us to revive the fire. Fuego.
Des humbles origines.
Fuego.
Des courageuses jeunes missionnaires.
Fuego.
Du révolutionnaire de Don Bosco.
Fuego. Es tiempo de reavivar el fuego. Es tiempo de reavivar. Es tiempo de reavivar el fuego. Es tiempo de reavivar el fuego. Es tiempo de reavivar. Es tiempo de reavivar el fuego.
Oltre oceani e confini, i sogni diventano realtà, sogni di vita, sogni del regno, fuoco que ilumina y riscalda. Veo tus ojos, Jesús sonriente, llamas a un nuevo continente.
Livres de amarras, leve bagagem, cheios de ternura, somos esse fogo que adia. Tempo de reavivar o fogo, é tempo de reavivar, é tempo de reavivar o fogo. It's time for us to revive the fire. It's time for us to revive. It's time for us to revive the fire. Fuego.
Des humbles origines.
Fuego.
Des courageuses jeunes missionnaires.
Fuego.
que ilumina y riscalda. Veo tus ojos, Jesús sonriente, llamas a un nuevo continente. Livres de amarras, leve bagagem, cheios de ternura, somos esse fogo que ardia. Tempo de reavivar o fogo, é tempo de reavivar, é tempo de reavivar o fogo.
It's time for us to revive the fire. It's time for us to revive. It's time for us to revive the fire. Fuego,
Des numbers of visiteurs,
fuego,
des courageuses jeunes missionnaires,
fuego,
du rêve missionnaire de Don Bosco.
fuego.
Good morning or good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for coming back for our third pilgrimage encounter. Once again, I am drawing your attention to some of the communications that occurred during the previous meetings. They are essential for a quality meeting and the smooth running of the training session. We hope you were able to choose your preferred language channel when registered to follow this missionary formation session. And we hope that also the handbook with the instruction for the correct use of Zoom and how to choose the language channel sent last Sunday to all of those who are registered for the meeting was useful. There is a news for those who choose English language. This time, every video, every clip, and also the prayer clip will be already translated in English. So you don't need to go to the interpretation. Only the video with the greetings of Sister Ruth, it will be still in Italian. So when there is the video of Sister Ruth, you go to the interpretation in English, but all the other videos will run already in English. Our meeting will last approximately 1 hour and a half, 90 minutes. So we ask for all of you to turn off the microphones and to turn on the webcam along the meeting. At the end of the meeting, we will have the opportunity to say goodbye and to greet our friends. And then you can turn on the microphone, only at the end. And only if you have some internet connection issue, you can keep the webcam off. But let the administration know through the chat, the Zoom chat. You tell in the Zoom chat why you can't keep the video on. Otherwise, it would be wonderful to be able to use the Zoom platform to foster a sense of togetherness, even if not in person. It's also a gesture of consideration and gratitude to those who can participate in the formation process. Let's try to live in the present moment, choose to be here, and decide to live this moment with a sense of belonging to the Institute. We ask you to write the name of your community, your country, and the acronym of the province in the Zoom chat. So you have a few moments to write the name of your community, of your country, and the acronym of the province in the Zoom chat while we are getting ready for the session. Today, we will be continuing the third meeting of the PEM online pilgrimage organized by the mission sector in collaboration with the Missionary Spirituality Project to visit the places where the first Daughters of Mary Help of Christians arrived on the American continent. This meeting is part of the 3 years preparation for the 150th anniversary of the first missionary expedition. The theme is, now is the time to rekindle the fire. 150th anniversary of the FMA, missionary. From November 14, 2024 till November 14, 2027. The meeting will take place as follows. There will be the greetings from Sister Ruth, the General Counselor for the mission. It will be in Italian, so the English speaking go to the interpretation. Then a brief opening prayer led by the PEM team and the presentation by the PEM team highlight the presence of the first FMA from Patagonia Norte, 14 Carmen de Patagones, and Viedna. And then Sister Joanna Bornia will be presented as the significant presence of this community. All this will be already in English. Then it will follow the best practice of a current missionary experience and will be presented by Sister Anna Grassi, an Italian missionary in Thailand for 52 years, and who is this year celebrating the 60th anniversary of her religious profession. There will be then the group work within each community, the feedback from the group, and the concluding prayer. Today, we will highlight the fiery courage of the first Daughters of Mary Help of Christians, missionaries who cross borders, walk in the desert, striving to realize Don Bosco's dream, to bring the gospel to the end of the earth. Loving mothers in the Patagonian desert, courageous and dedicated to the most disadvantaged and forgotten. Now, we give the screen to Sister Ruth for a brief greeting and introduction.
Carissime sorelle, cari laici, giovani, adolescenti e famiglie, giunti alla terza tappa di questo pellegrinaggio. Ci fermiamo oggi su una parola decisiva, una parola che ci porta ad un'azione concreta, alla scelta, alla vita. E questa parola è coraggio. Dopo il fuoco che ha riacceso il cuore, lo sguardo che si è allargato, ora ci soffermiamo sulla parola coraggio. Il coraggio accompagna ogni uomo e ogni donna che accoglie la chiamata di Dio e che sceglie di vivere come discepolo missionario. Ma possiamo chiedere, ma da dove nasce questo coraggio? Nasce dalla certezza che Dio ci precede, che è già presente là dove siamo inviati, e dalla promessa di Gesù che attraversa tutta la storia della Chiesa. Io sono con voi tutti i giorni fino alla fine del mondo. E questa certezza che ha sostenuto le prime sorelle missionarie quando hanno lasciato la loro terra, la loro lingua, le loro sicurezze per attraversare l'oceano verso l'America. Non sapevano cosa avrebbero trovato, ma sapevano chi le accompagnava. Madre Mazzarello esprimeva questo con parole semplici, dirette, profondamente materne. Fatevi coraggio, il Signore e la Madonna vi aiuteranno. In queste parole semplici c'è tutta la sua spiritualità. Per lei il coraggio non era forza che nasceva da se stessa, ma fiducia concreta nell'aiuto di Dio e di Maria Ausiliatrice. Non un eroismo straordinario, ma una fedeltà quotidiana fatta di piccoli passi, di gesti, di pazienza, di perseveranza. Madre Mazzarello ci insegna che il coraggio missionario non consiste nel fare cose grandi, ma nel dire sì ogni giorno, anche quando ci sentiamo fragili, stanchi e inadeguati. È il coraggio di accompagnare, di educare, di ricominciare, di restare fedeli alla missione affidataci. È un coraggio che si vive nelle relazioni quotidiane, nelle comunità educanti, nell'ascolto dei giovani, nella capacità di superare insieme le difficoltà. Il coraggio missionario è andare avanti nel Signore, trasformando la paura in fiducia, la fatica in offerta, l'incertezza in disponibilità. Oggi la missione ci chiede questo tipo di coraggio. Magari non sempre ci chiede di partire per un luogo lontano, ma ci chiede di abitare con passione il luogo dove ci troviamo, di restare fedeli al carisma, di viverlo con creatività, di continuare a credere che il Vangelo può trasformare la vita nostra e dei giovani e di tutte le famiglie. È il coraggio di una Chiesa in uscita, di comunità che rimangono aperte, di educatori che non smettono insieme di sperare. Al termine di questo momento auguro a ciascuno di noi di sentirsi acceso di coraggio, un coraggio umile, fiducioso, gioioso, capace di tradurre il cammino spirituale in scelte concrete di vita, di servizio, di attenzione verso tutti, specialmente i poveri e gli scartati delle nostre società. Maria Ausiliatrice, che ha accompagnato i passi delle prime missionari, accompagna anche i nostri passi oggi e ci insegna a camminare con cuore ardente, sguardo ampio, spirito di famiglia e coraggio missionario. Buon incontro a tutte e a tutti.
And after this beautiful message, we now give the floor to Sister Cari Gomez, and Sister Nancy Chucho from Argentina, members of the PEM team, who will introduce us to the prayer and presentations of our third meeting of the PEM online pilgrimage.
Non si sente?
With the faith of the first missionaries, we set out on a journey. We go with amazed eyes and a moved heart through history and the paths, the life of God woven in every comer of this earth, our life, our history. We invite you to silence your hearts and to pause for a few moments, accepting Jesus' invitation to rest in Him, to ask Him to teach us the secrets of the wind and the desert that filled the lives of our first sisters and brothers with fullness and meaning. We enter the land of Don Bosco's dreams and of our Mother Mazzarella's ardent desire for mission, the Patagonia, a land where impetuous and mysterious winds blow and where challenging deserts are found.
In the word of Jesus, there is the secret of missionary passion and the fire that burned the hearts of those first Salesian missionaries. Let us also allow ourselves to be touched by it.
When the apostles returned to Jesus, they told Him all that they had done and taught. Jesus said to them, "Come by yourself to a secluded place and rest a while." Because there were so many who came and went and didn't even have time to eat. And they went off alone in a boat to a deserted place. But the people saw that they were living, and many noticed, and they walked there. From all the villages people ran and arrived before them. When Jesus disembarked, He saw all those people and had compassion on them, because they were like sheep without a shepherd, and He began to teach them for a long time.
People precede them and arrive at the resting place before them. For this reason, when Jesus arrives, He is moved to see them, and despite His tiredness, He begins to teach them at length. That is, by dedicating time and presence to them. The attitude of compassion that is observed in the story is one of the deepest and most genuine experiences of Jesus that the Gospel transmits to us. Throughout His life, we find numerous testimonies of Jesus' attitude of being moved to the heart. Healing of the leper, the blind man, the widow who had lost her son, the crowd that has nothing to eat, and many other scenes from the Gospels.
They were like sheep without a shepherd, that is, without someone to take care of them, protect them, serve them, guide them, accompany them, and was able to give his life for the flock. All these attitudes are necessary for every believer and missionary who wants to live in the footsteps of Jesus.
Jesus allowed himself to be touched and felt compassion. That is to say, that he felt love for that people, because it is proper to compassion to be part of that complex interweaving of life that we simply call love. Jesus' compassion reveals to us the reflection of the divine in the most human, and it is the reflection of the human in the divine. Compassion is born from contact with history. They are urgent concerns between ethical indignation, dreams, and desires to be able to transform situations and free the multiple rights of life.
The fertile soil of compassion is born not only from the depths of God, but is also nourished by the depths of the earth, by the history of ordinary men and women. Compassion is learned in a slow and long path of contact with life. It is part of a living sensory memory, which accompanies us and grows in us.
But you have to let yourselves be touched by life, that intricate world of objects and peoples from which we would often like to protect and defend ourselves. In Michelangelo's work in the Sistine Chapel, God and the supposed Adam reach out to let their bodies touch each other. Perhaps compassion is just that, a difficult ethical bird to be able to touch us. If our worlds do not allow ourselves to be touched, they will die in isolation, while the calm suffering of peoples and biodiversity pushes and pulls to unleash life.
Letting ourselves be touched is key, the path that opens us to compassion and mission. As we said at the beginning, let us allow ourselves to be touched as our first missionary sisters and brothers did by the reality of the peoples of the Patagonian desert. Let us enter into this history in search of keys that allow us to rekindle in each one the fire of mission in order to be able to approach, touch, and heal the realities in which today God invites us to continue with the missionary heartbeat, announcing His love and compassion. Let us ask God together to allow ourselves to be invaded by the compassion that flooded His Son that afternoon on the other side of the lake, and that impelled bold and courageous men and women to enter the desert in search of threatened life, trusting in the secret power of compassion and a stubborn hope. The arrival of the Daughters of Mary Hop of Christians in Patagonia in 1880 was the result of a process in which different causes converged. The 19th century saw the expansion of empires and the domination of Latin American colonies, which for the most part were forging their emancipation. In this context, the Church promoted missions around the world. Pope Leo XIII expressed this in his encyclical Sancta Dei Civitas, affirming that the Church, the holy city of God, thanks to the strength received from her founder, must enlarge the space of her tents more and more every day, and must extend the skins that protect her. At the same time, Don Bosco, in his missionary project on Patagonia, elaborated on the basis of his own educational project, presents clear objectives which, in summary, express the need to bring evangelization and civilization to the remote regions of southern Argentina. To reach them, it proposes itinerant missions, schools, aboriginal reductions, and assistance to immigrants. It is necessary to emphasize that the aforementioned means of civilization and evangelization were also considered as such by the Aborigines themselves, as evidenced by the letter sent to Bishop Aneros, Archbishop of Buenos Aires, by the chief of the Quimpomil tribe in 1877. Don Bosco's missionary project is the optimal setting for the spirituality lived by Mother Mazzarello and the first Daughters of Mary Hop of Christians, who arrived in the Latin American southern cone with the so-called Spirit of Bornese, bearer of the traits of the Salesian female spirituality. Mother Enriqueta Sorbonne remembered it as follows: great obedience, exact respect for the rule, admirable interior life and silence, a spirit of prayer and mortification, joy and holy cheerfulness, which made the home a heavenly environment. We did not think or speak except of God and His holy love, of the Blessed Virgin, and of the guardian angels. We always worked under their sweet eyes, as if they were visibly present, and we had no other goals. Life like this was very beautiful. The first group of missionaries who arrived in Patagonia brought them a guiding mandate, the words that Don Bosco spoke as the moment of departure. Remember that you go on mission to fight sin. You will not immediately be missionaries among the savages of the Pampas and Patagonia. You will begin to consolidate the kingdom of God among those who are already faithful. Revive it among those who have forgotten it. Then you will spread it among those who do not know about it. After a long journey that began on November 4, 1877, they arrived in Montevideo on December 21. They stayed for 2 years there. After that time, they went to Buenos Aires. Sister Angela Valese, Sister Angela Casulo, and Sister Joanna Bornia. In that city, Sister Catalina Fino, a member of the community already established in Argentina, also joined the group. The goal was to reach Carmen de Patagones on board the steamer Santa Rosa. They left on January 16, 1880, and 4 days later, they sighted the southern port and were already in Patagonia. They did not travel alone, since the expedition counted on the presence of 4 Salesians, whose director was Father Jose Fagnano and Monsignor Antonio Espinosa, the vicar of the Archdiocese of Buenos Aires. The society that the missionaries found in Patagones was undergoing great changes as a result of the military campaigns against the natives. Patagonia was definitively integrated into the nation-state, which produced for the lower valley of the Rio Negro, where Carmen de Patagones and Viedma are located. Changes at the institutional, political, economic, cultural, and demographic levels. This new political institutional structure produced a fracture in the space constituted by Viedma and Patagones on opposite banks of the Rio Negro. The functions of the two spaces began to diverge. Viedma became the capital of Patagonia and became the political administrative center of the entire southern territory, which years later, at the request of President Julio Roca to Congress, was divided into 5 national territories. Carmen de Patagones, as the last port center, continued to belong to the province of Buenos Aires. Thanks to the opening of new land, river, and sea lines of communication, the isolation of both populations ended. Patagones became an important center of active trade and an effective supplier to the vast surrounding territories, thanks to its connection possibilities with Buenos Aires and Bahia Blanca. This dynamic attracted large contingents of inhabitants, both from abroad and from the Argentine provinces. It was not just a quantitative change. The new residents of both cities brought with them ideas and political, social practices that determined new traits of coexistence between the two shores. In this context, local Freemasonry, which already existed without great activity, gained new impetus thanks to the contribution of the military, politicians, members of the merchant navy, merchants, and journalists. Freemasonry was annoyed by the action of the church through Salesian work in such an important field as education. As a result, these were a series of continuous attacks by members of the local municipality and the school board. The educational work in favor of the poor and abandoned children and the approach to families were the weapons that the Salesians and the daughters of Mary Hop of Christians used to defend themselves. Sister Joanna Bornia, recalling that period, testified, "For about 2 years at least, we did not go out on the street alone, but accompanied, and very rarely." The young missionaries arriving both in Patagones and in Viedma found the predominance of a type of family, the patriarchal one. The woman was considered a weak being with abilities inferior to those of the man, busy taking care of him and the rest of the family. The newspaper El Pueblo of that decade summarized a series of characteristics that women had to possess: knowing how to sew, cook and make bread well, be thrifty, good, hardworking, active and cheerful, dress modestly, read little, not novels, take care of the sick, have no maids, keep the house clean, and be the support of the husband. In worse social conditions were single women, and in even more unfavorable situations, Aboriginal women exposed to the violence of white men enjoyed the protection of the local authorities in charge of administering justice. Within the families, there was a strict discipline, of which children were the victims. Even worse were the living conditions of the captive Aboriginal children, torn from their tribes and given as servants to the different families, deprived of all their rights. It is necessary to keep in mind that 13 to 14-year-old girls became adults without experiencing the intermediate stages. This reality was faced by the missionaries, who were also very young, who knew how to respond to these challenges with courage and sacrifice. The school required a great deal of personal effort for them. This is how Mother Angela Valese expressed it in a letter addressed to Don Bosco in October 1880. We are making clothes and other garments for our poor Indians. It seems that the Lord is preparing a lot of work for us. We yearn for it, in order to save so many souls who lie in the darkness of ignorance. If I saw how many Indian women there are, and in what a state of physical and moral misery they are, they inspire compassion, and we regret not being able to help them all, because we are few and very poor. This boarding school in Carmen de Patagones currently has 30 girls from within, 2 from outside, and a young brunette who helps us with housework. If we had the means to maintain them, we could welcome, educate, and save many more. Every Sunday we go to the parish to teach catechism to the Christian girls of the village, who unfortunately are few and ignorant in matters of religion. Once a month, they approach the sacraments and do so with great devotion. This practice is very good not only for the girls, but also for adults, and helps to stimulate faith in the Indians, to make them reflect and to appreciate our holy religion. Instructing, educating, saving are the principles that guide the educational process of the missionaries in northern Patagonia. All the educational proposals presented to the young women were widely welcomed. Cutting and sewing, embroidery, and piano had numerous students. It needs to be emphasized that black girls, descendants of ancient slaves and aborigines, were the object of their concerns and efforts. The first house was left behind. The nuns lived there from 1880 to 1884. The second house, located in the space of the old fort, housed them until 1903, when they moved to the building they currently occupy. On June 1, 1884, the Myriad of Christians College in Viedma was inaugurated. The event was attended by the Governor of Patagonia, Lorenzo Vinter, accompanied by his family and illustrious ladies and gentlemen of the town, who gave a speech approving the mission of the sisters and emphasizing the progress that the presence of a college in this type meant for Viedma. The Magnificat was sung in the chapel, and the blessing with Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament was given. This new school, being very close to Patagonia, and with the sole purpose of providing for the needs of the children of Viedma, would have the same directress as the one on the north bank, that is, Mother Angela Valese. In Viedma resided Sister Joanna Bornia as vicar, Sister Mariana Balduzzi, and Sister Margarita Cantavena. Soon the courtyard was filled with little girls. In 1886, they had 50 students. They could count on the educational experience gained in Patagones. When this house was opened, they opted for the elementary school, so that 2 years after its foundation, they had the first to the 4th grade, and they began to see positive results in the educational process, as they expressed, although not so obviously the spiritual, moral, and material progress of the girls, and no less of the families, is nevertheless remarkable. On June 3, 1892, Bishop Caliero wrote to Don Rua, "In Viedma, the daughters of Mary Hub of Christians, helped by this center of the missions, ran an orphanage with 50 interns and 150 externs, not a few of whom are indigenous. The last exams were so satisfactory that they deserved great praise from the school authority for the scientific, intellectual, and moral progress achieved. But nothing has been so admired as the manual labor of the natives and the singing of those of the European race. In the boarding schools, the children of the Aborigines are welcomed with preference, and recently we were lucky enough to host a poor indigenous girl sold to another Indian for 8 horses. The buyer, listening attentively to our words, understood the repugnant wickedness of such a remarket and did not hesitate to place his trust in the education given by the nuns, so that his daughter would be educated and baptized together with that girl. Among the young internal Aborigines, there were 2 members of the Yankuchi tribe, close to the tribal chief Seferina, who a few years later would become a daughter of Mirhab of Christians, just like her cousin Josefa. They spoke Spanish well, prayed in Latin and Italian. They were prepared to transmit to their brethren the fundamental principles of Catholic doctrine. Following a painful event in 1894, she began an exhausting work for the sisters, the assistance of young women in a situation of risk who had committed crimes and who had been interned. The educational task proved to be very difficult due to the rebellion of the recipients and other inconveniences caused by them, and compromised the education given to the other girls, so much so that Bishop Calliero, before leaving for Italy in 1903, advised the sisters not to continue with that work. A special welcome was reserved for the poorest girls, so much so that in 1904, of the 195 pupils, 96 were interns, mostly very poor, who had to be clothed, fed, and educated. In addition, 30 girls who did not attend boarding schools but stayed at school had lunch there because they were destitutes. Today, it could be said that they were the forerunners of school canteens. On both banks of the Rio Negro, the educational work of the daughters of Mary of Christians continued with vigor, rooted in heroic times with an ever-new breath, with the aim of forming excellent Christians and future worthy mothers of families. I am Giovanna. My vocational story began with a surprise. I was born and lived in Buenos Aires until I was 14 years of age. My parents were Italian immigrants. For family reasons, we returned to Italy, to Piedmont together with my two younger sisters. On December 16, 1874, I arrived at the College of Bornese. I was 14 years then. With me there was also my younger sister Emilia, who would also become a daughter of Mary, Help of Christians, and would follow me to America as a missionary. I remember precisely the exact moment when I felt God's call. The vocation surprised me at 9 o'clock in the morning of October 10, 1875. And at 11 o'clock that morning, I was already among the postulants. So I wrote, because that hour remained etched in my soul. In Monese, I found a mother, Maria Mazzarello. Her goodness and her simple cheerfulness won me over. There I learned that serving God meant working, loving, giving oneself. As I taught the girls seated on the floor without tables, my heart learned to trust without limits. I was only 17 when Don Calliero asked me, "If we send you to America, would you gladly go?" And I replied without even thinking, "Send me where you think fit." It was my way of saying to God, "Here I am." Thus began my mission. Uruguay welcomed me in 1877, together with the sisters of the first missionary expedition. There were Angela Valese, Angela Casulo, Teresita Mazzarello, Teresa Jeddah, and Angela De Negri. The girls of the oratory filled our days with joy. Sometimes the trials were great, but it was enough to remember the words of Mother Mazzarello, "Never be discouraged. The devil is furious with us, a sign that we are on God's side." Then came Patagonia. There I learned what it means to trust to the extreme. In 1880, we left together with Sister Angela Valese, Angela Casulu, and Catalina Pino towards the land of the dreams of our founding father. We crossed rivers, we traveled endless plains, bringing Christ to every soul, to every ranch, to every child waiting to learn how to read and to pray. We worked tirelessly, but always with joy. When at the end of 1887, Mother Valese left northern Patagonia to found the mission in the lands of Magellan, I was entrusted with all the houses in the central and northern areas. God gave me the courage to leave the mission of a visitatrice and founder of several mission houses in Patagonia. With few means, but with fire in my heart. I was 32 years old and with 15 years of intense missionary work. Years later, the Lord called me to Ecuador and then to Peru. Each mission was a new beginning, a new dedication, and even though my eyes were dying because of blindness, my heart continued to see with the light of faith. When I could no longer teach, I continued to accompany persons, pray, listen, offer. I have never stopped repeating, where God wants me, there I want to be. Today, looking at my journey, I understand that vocation is a faithful and simple love story. That it is worth saying yes, even if you do not see the end. Because those who give themselves completely discover that God Himself becomes their land, their home, and their destiny.
여기도 그 핸드폰으로는 되는데.
Ascoltiamo ora la testimonianza di una buona prassi di Sor Anna Grassi sul dialogo interreligioso ecumenico. Sor Anna Grassi, missionaria in Thailandia, celebra quest'anno i 60 anni di professione religiosa.
Thailand is not only a country of tourism, but a nation of strong spiritual attraction, where Theravada Buddhism, despite being the dominant religion, promotes religious tolerance by allowing peaceful coexistence with other faiths. The experience of over 90 years of the missionaries, the Daughters of Mary Hub of Christians in Thailand, testifies to a lively and concrete interreligious dialogue to respond to the need to increase knowledge on this issue. The Thai province has organized and continues to organize formation meetings. A significant event was the July 8 to 9, 2023 gathering on the theme Religious Dialogue in a Multicultural Society, where representatives of the 5 major religions share their doctrines and traditions. In addition, every 2 years at the Asian level, the Buddhist-Christian Colloquium Meeting takes place, now in its 7th edition. It was held in Thailand from November 13 to 17, 2023. The event, the result of the collaboration between the Vatican Dicastery for Interreligious Dialogue, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Thailand, and the Maha Chukalungkum Kunjanaya Vitayala Buddhist University, addressed the theme of compassion, which in Thai is karuna, and charity, agape, to bring hope. As an institute, the Daughters of Mary Hub of Christians in Thailand are members of the Commission for Unity of Churches, actively contributing to the promotion of interreligious and ecumenical unity and cooperation in the country. Hail, saving saved, says Ardon Bosco. And Mother Mazzarello says, Jesus must be our strength. This is our interreligious dialogue.
Now we will find ourselves for a moment of sharing in the groups of each educating community. We must answer this question. What has this testimony revived in me of missionary passion? We won't have a return of the group work in plenary, but each community must think of a word summary of the sharing made in their group, which they will write in the Zoom chat. It is important time of training and sharing together as educating community. Make sure that all participants can express themselves and dedicate the last 5 minutes to trying to summarize the words of your group, sharing, or that have remained imprinted of you by the meeting. In the group chat, you can write them towards the end of the group sharing. Now each community can do their work for around 20 minutes. Remember to not abandon the Zoom link. We will meet again briefly. It is a reminder that we have only around 5 minutes left of sharing time within your community. So try to write the word in the group chat. Thank you. Again, we only have a few minutes left, so please write your word. Come già detto, abbiamo ancora pochi minuti per la condivisione. Se riuscite, scrivete la parola nella chat, grazie. E poi alla fine aprite la webcam, così da fare un momento per la foto insieme. Remember to turn on your webcam at the end of the sharing time. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I remind you that you will find a recording of this meeting along with the further information on the topic on the Institute website and on the PEM YouTube channel starting from Tuesday, April 14. Remember our appointment for the next meeting, which will be on Sunday, April 19. Thank you all for your participation. A special thank you to all of those involved in carrying out the Mission Scope pilgrimage and the Global Mission Team, the sister of the 150 Commission of the First Missionary Expedition, the PEM team, and the translators of the various languages. A heartfelt thank you to Sister Chiara Cazzuola, the Mother General, and to the Sister of the General Council for their desire and support in the realization of this project. To them, our affection and our prayer in this month in which they are pilgrims in the communities of the Daughter of Mary, Help of Christian, of the 5 continents. To all of us here, we wish you a happy Easter time. We conclude now this meeting with a brief moment of prayer that Sister Carrie and Sister Nancy will animate.
The great challenge that confronts us in the light of the experience of the first missionaries and the current reality revolves around 3 desires that spring from the living water of the Spirit: harmony, compassion, communion. We ask God and commit ourselves to a more harmonious life. With daily experiences of closeness and understanding, we need spaces for serenity and dialogue, especially with people and movements who are sensitive to earth-related values. We ask God and commit ourselves to lead a more intimate life with less superficial experiences, by recognizing the existence of those we love, loving the earth to be sensitive to its pains, by carrying the pain of the earth to humanize us in compassion. We ask God and commit ourselves to a more cohesive life with more community experiences, knowing that the earth can exist without us, but we cannot live without it. A community where we cultivate relationships, justice, attention, care, solidarity, that effective and at the same time collective tenderness.